Abigail awoke feeling strange. A terrible stench filled the air around her, thick and suffocating. At first, she thought it was something in her house, but as she moved, the smell followed her. Horrified, she realized it was coming from her own skin. Once upon a time in a small town with quiet streets, there lived a young woman named Abigail. Abigail was well loved in the community for her kindness and dedication to her work as a secretary. Her life was simple but fulfilling, and she had a close-knit circle of friends who admired her generous heart. But even in her contentment, there were days she wished for something extraordinary to happen. One autumn evening, Abigail found a package resting on her doorstep. There was no note, no indication of who had sent it, only a beautifully wrapped box tied with a deep red ribbon. Curious, she carried it inside and carefully pulled the ribbon loose. Inside, she found an exquisitely designed perfume bottle, its glass delicate and shimmering under the light. She held it up, admiring its craftsmanship. It was unlike anything she had ever owned. Without much thought, she sprayed a small amount on her wrist and inhaled deeply. The fragrance was intoxicating, a blend of jasmine and vanilla that made her feel elegant and alluring. With this soothing smell and cozy atmosphere, she fell on her bed and slept off. The next morning, Abigail awoke feeling strange. A terrible stench filled the air around her, thick and suffocating. At first, she thought it was something in her house, but as she moved, the smell followed her. Horrified, she realized it was coming from her own skin. She spent hours in the shower, scrubbing herself raw, hoping the water and soap would wash away the dreadful odor. She tried everything, exfoliating scrubs, herbal remedies, even bathing in baking soda and vinegar. Nothing worked. The more she scrubbed, the more the smell seemed to seep deeper into her pores, as if it had become a part of her. After hours of futile efforts, she reluctantly dressed up and made her way to work, masking her anxiety behind a forced smile. At the office, the whispers started almost immediately. Did Abigail change her perfume? There's a strange scent around her. Something feels off about her today. She looks different. She felt the stares and heard the murmurs, but she couldn't understand why. When she caught her reflection in the hallway mirror, she gasped. Her complexion was pale, almost sickly, her once vibrant eyes dulled with exhaustion. She leaned in closer, touching her face, her fingers trembling. The woman staring back at her looked unfamiliar, as if something had drained the life from her overnight. And no matter how much she scrubbed, the foul odor clung to her skin, refusing to be erased. She wished the day would end soon so she could escape back home, but time seemed to drag mercilessly. Each minute felt like an hour, each hour an eternity. The clock ticked away at an agonizing pace, mocking her silent suffering. The 8 hours of work stretched longer than any day she had ever known. Finally, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the office emptied, she bolted out of the building, desperate for the sanctuary of her home. That same night, she repeated her cleansing ritual, taking multiple showers, dousing herself in scented lotions, and layering herself in perfume in a frantic attempt to mask the stench. But it only grew worse, its presence now suffocating, filling her room like an invisible fog that refused to lift. Her breaths became shallow, her chest tightening with panic. She paced back and forth, her mind racing for answers. What was happening to her? Why wouldn't the scent go away? Was she imagining it? Losing her grip on reality? Shaking, she grabbed her phone and dialed Olivia's number. "Olivia, please, I need you to come over," she whispered, her voice quivering. "Something is wrong with me." Olivia arrived quickly, letting herself into the apartment. As she stepped inside, she hesitated, subtly wrinkling her nose before masking it with a tight smile. "Abigail, are you okay?" she asked, feigning concern. "No, I'm not okay." Abigail nearly sobbed. No matter how much I wash, this smell won't go away. It's getting worse, Olivia. I don't know what to do. Olivia approached her, placing a hand on her shoulder. I'm sure it's just a reaction to the perfume, she said, though she eyed the bottle with an unreadable expression. Something in Olivia's gaze unsettled Abigail. It wasn't pity. It wasn't concern. It was something else entirely, something that sent a chill down Abigail's spine. And in that moment, deep within her gut, she felt the first whisper of suspicion. Over the next few days, her health deteriorated. She grew weak, her body heavy with exhaustion, her thoughts clouded with confusion. The scent, once pleasant, had turned into a vile curse that followed her wherever she went. Julian, a worker and Abigail's longtime friend, noticed her distress and took her to an elderly herbalist who specialized in spiritual ailments. When they met, the woman gasped upon seeing the perfume bottle. This fragrance carries an ancient curse. It binds itself to the wearer, feeding on their energy until they are no more. The only way to break it is to confront the one who gave it to you. Abigail's heart dropped. She had no idea who had sent it. One night, Abigail overheard Olivia speaking on the phone. I can't believe it worked, Olivia whispered. She's completely falling apart, just as planned. Now that Adrian is with me, she'll have nothing left. Abigail's blood ran cold. Olivia had been jealous all along, of her job, her happiness, and most of all, her relationship with Adrian. And now, Adrian, her supposed love, had left her and was now dating Olivia. Fueled by anger and heartbreak, Abigail confronted Olivia the next day. You sent me the perfume, didn't you? She demanded. Olivia's smirk faltered for just a second before she crossed her arms. So what if I did? You always had everything, your perfect life, your perfect job, and Adrian. It's about time you lost something for once. Devastated, Abigail walked away, determined to break free from the curse. Julian, who had been by her side through it all, took her back to the herbalist. The healer examined the perfume and, after a painful cleansing ritual, neutralized its effects. Abigail felt a sudden weight lift off her chest, and for the first time in weeks, she took a deep breath of fresh air. The stench was gone. As Abigail healed, she found herself drawn closer to Julian, who had shown her unwavering support. Unlike Adrian, Julian saw her for who she truly was, and their friendship blossomed into something deeper. Eventually, he confessed his feelings for her, and for the first time in a long while, Abigail felt genuinely cherished and adored. Months later, an event rocked the town. Adrian and Olivia had broken up. Rumors spread that Adrian had been unfaithful, and Olivia, who had so desperately wanted him, found herself abandoned and humiliated. One evening, Abigail heard a knock at her door. She opened it to find Olivia standing there, her eyes red and swollen. I'm sorry, Abigail. I was jealous and foolish. I thought taking everything from you would make me happy, but in the end, I lost more than I gained. Abigail studied her former friend, seeing the regret in her eyes. Though forgiveness would take time, she simply nodded. I hope you learned from this, Olivia. Not everything comes the way we want it to, and hurting others won't make life better. As Olivia walked away, Abigail turned back to Julian, who took her hand with a warm smile. She had lost much, but in the end, she had gained something far greater, a love that was true, and a future that was hers to shape. Abigail realized that not all gifts are given with good intentions. Some come with a price. But more importantly, she learned that true love does not seek to control, manipulate, or destroy. It uplifts, supports, and heals. And in the end, the love that found her was worth more than all she had lost.